You you are your first business. Listen, stop getting in everybody else's business, focusing solely on your business and not focusing on the business of yourself, the business of your health, the business of your vitality, raw. So today I'm going to be talking about the importance of making you the business first. Now, a lot of people, they get in everybody else's business, but they don't focus on their business. First, you got to look at yourself as an entity, and every single day you have to continuously improve. So you are the business, and you're the chief executive officer of your life. How are you going to choose to direct it? Do you just kind of like wake up and show up to work, or do you actually dictate what you're going to do? Are you setting intentions? So this episode of Ed Talks Daily is going to be all about looking at yourself as the business first. To all my hustlers, entrepreneurs, healers who's out there who's trying to build something, a lot of times you can forget that, hey, you can't build something unless you build yourself. Let's grow. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. This is Ed Talks Daily. This is a podcast, not just a live video. So I'm actually recording a podcast as we speak. So the format is a bit different because every single day I drop a podcast at edtalksdaily.com. So if you're just watching and you want to listen daily, go to edtalksdaily.com. And if you're listening and you want to watch daily, follow me on Instagram at The Holistic Motivator. Follow me on YouTube, The Holistic Motivator, TikTok, The Holistic Motivator, Facebook, The Holistic Motivator, or visit theholisticmotivator.com. Now, those are just the announcements and the introduction, but let's get back to the subject. Make yourself the first business. What do I mean by that? A lot of people want to run a whole corporation, but they have not learned how to run their household. A lot of people try to run everybody else, but they have not learned how to manage themselves. So we're going to talk about management, self-management. We're going to talk about planning, and we're going to put it in a business sense. Now, I went to school for business. A lot of people don't know. Life taught me about business, but I also went to school for business, and I learned a lot of things about business processes. I learned about middle managers. I learned about executives. And what I learned was this: a lot of the people who create businesses, what they do is they think. They think and they pay people to work out their thoughts. So a lot part of business is doing a lot of thinking. A lot part of business is doing a lot setting intentions. A lot of part of the business is building the systems and the structures. So what does that mean for you? The reason why a lot of things are not working in order for your body is actually because there isn't a proper system. There isn't what they call the method of operation, right? There's something in business called the MO, the method of operation, how this business operates. What are the steps that needs to happen in order for the product to get in the hands of the customer? Now, in your sense is, what are the steps that need to happen in order for your product, you as the product, to get in the hand of the world? The whole world is your customer. So you have to be able to cultivate your product in such a way that you present yourself well. Now, let's talk about this. Some of the major things a business have to have is a vision statement. A business has to have a vision. A man or woman without a vision will perish. So what I mean by that is you have to know where you want to grow to in order to wake up every day and make that happen. A business must have a mission statement. A business must know what is the reason why you started to begin with. So let me ask you, do you have a vision? Do you have a mission? Or do you just wander through life not having a specific hit? A man or woman cannot hit a goal they did not set. I learned that from Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar also said this: if you help enough people get what they want, you will get exactly what you want. So the first thing you want to do is to become the type of person that can provide to everyone around you what will best help them proceed. First, you got to provide that to yourself. So you're like, okay, Ed, you're talking about business, you're talking a whole lot. What does that have to do with me? Sit down and think. I want you to think. The business is ran by the thinkers. Most people, they run to doing without thinking. and you do yourself into a rut. So think, what do you want to create for your life? What type of life do you want to live? Do you want to live life stressed, or do you want to live life bliss? Do you want to live life excited for every day, or do you want to live life dreading the day? Most people, they live life dreading the day, and they want to build a successful business, but they have not built a successful business of themselves. So how does that look like? Before you work on your business, work on yourself. Somebody said, hey, I need to grind, 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 grind. Yes, you do. Grinding is good because grinding creates products. However, you cannot produce if it's empty. So to produce, you need to get to the source of what produces, and that's energy. And that's vital life force energy. So you must cultivate vital life force energy so you can transmute that into thoughts. Thoughts become things, and those things create your business and your brand. So you're like, what do you mean? You got to have a peace of mind instead of giving everybody a piece of your mind. You got to have a peace of mind before giving everybody a piece of your mind. A lot of people, they don't cultivate self, so they don't have much self to give. They are drained, they are tired, they're sluggish. So you ask, Ed, where do I start? Start with your rising routine. Start with the way you wake up every single day. Don't just wake up sporadically and just do random things, just like get your coffee, get out the door, put your clothes on. You have to do something for yourself to get that peace, to get that peace of mind before you give everybody a piece of your mind. Now, here's the thing. Either way, you're going to do some doing or some thinking. But when you don't think consciously to create, other people who's thinking take your effort and they create something out of it. When you don't say, how am I going to fulfill a need in the world? Somebody takes you and pays you and use you to fulfill a need. That's a job. When you don't think of how you're going to be in the world, somebody takes your energy and creates something out of it and give you a little piece, and that's called your salary. So if you change that and you start to become a thinking, self-directing being, then now you start to create things. Now, this all does not have to go over your head. Let's go back. I said you have to start the day with a routine. So don't just wake up and go to work. Wake up and go to work on yourself. So somebody says, how do I do that? What are the strategies? I need some help, Ed. Journaling. The first thing you want to do is you have to have an intention. The number one thing I do every single day is I start with a journal. I've accumulated a nice little amount of journals, and I'm very proud. That's why I always talk about it. In fact, it's so true that I'm not lying to you that it's right there, right next to me. So the first thing I say, hey, Ed, what is my intention today? Before you give your attention to everybody, their mama, their sister, their cousin, and your job, set an intention. Where would you like to go? An intention is setting the sail. You cannot hit a target you did not set. You automatically miss it. Like Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take. Now, you have to set an intention. So, an intention is not just what you want to do for your business. An intention is how you want to create your life. So, I'm going to read a random intention. Okay? Random. I'm not even picking it. I'm just going to read it straight up. Boom. My intention, this is not today, by the way. This was November 9th, 2021. My intention today is to have a well-balanced cycle where I'm creating to empower, but also actively seeking opportunities to get in front of people. I will use social media to get in front of people, but I will use discipline to get in front of people in real life. So what I mean by that is I want to get in front of more people. So I had to hit up people. I had to hit up organizations to speak. So that's why I wrote that. So I set an intention. When you set an intention, you set something, you put something in your mind. So now your mind starts to look and create it for you. It starts to remind you that, oh, you remember you said you were going to do that today? Now you start to do it. If you said, my intention today is to be in one with nature, be present, then now all of a sudden that thing starts to come. Now, a lot of people try to set an intention in the midst of a storm without any peace and clarity. So before you can manifest and create things, you got to have a sense of peace and clarity. So peace and clarity is going to start with what? It's going to start with the physical cultivation of it. Peace and clarity is a physical, it's a cultivation. You got to cultivate it. So you breathe, you move, you exercise to raise up your vibration and energies. So how are you gonna move, breathe to raise up the vibration and energies? Now you can see I'm wearing a Tai Chi suit. Now I'm wearing the Qigong. I am a Qigong master of the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy, right? And I teach people how to breathe, move, and cultivate their life force energy every day. So before they get depleted, they charge up. So you're like, how do I charge myself up? Charge yourself up with the sun. Get yourself some nice vitamin D, baby. Just soak in some of that good prana, some of that good oxygen, right? Get yourself, I'm going to do some sunbathing right after. You see, I've cultivated myself with Qigong, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I've gifted something to the world. I've done classes already. I've done so many different things already. I've impacted people. Now, after I do this, I'm going to charge myself up. After I charge myself up, I'm going to go then impact more people. So throughout the day, first you charge yourself up so you have something to give. You give it, then you recharge, then you give, then you recharge, then you enjoy. You get what I'm saying? Hey, Cindy, good to see you. So the first thing you want to do is you want to charge yourself in the rising by moving, breathing, affirming, journaling, reading, and educating yourself. So I have a study guide. Now, the tribe has been reading E-Myth Enterprise. Now, I've been talking about business. This says how to turn a great business idea into a thriving business. So you want to have something you learn every day. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, what are you doing? So you want to have a way to grow every single day. You don't go towards your goal, you got to grow to it. Now, this is one of those ways. I have one of the best podcasts in the world, reaching millions all around the world. So by listening to edtalksdaily.com every day, you're definitely going to be going. But what else is there to do? Of course, I'm going to plug my podcast, but there is insight. There's the wisdom that's inside. Give yourself a motivational speech. Record yourself. Hey, whoa, I needed that word. So a lot of times you have to give what you need. So guess what? When I give and I share, I find out that I needed it too. So everything I give it to me first. But the thing is, you have to make yourself in a certain way so that you can be able to produce that. It's hard to produce when you're anxious. It's hard to produce when you're sad. It's hard to produce when you're constantly tired and drained and depressed. Those things are not bad. It's part of the human experience. But if you want to change how you experience life, you have to change how you are being. And the way to do that is by activating the innate source that cultivates that sort of peace and wellness. So you're like, okay, I kind of get it. What else? Juicing. I juice all of the time. I have a very nice vegetable juice, or I blend up some very nice, nutritious drink with superfoods, usually cacao and fruits and berries and many things. And of course, being around the Sifu himself, I get to have access to all of that in an amazing way. So now that feeds me at a cellular level. So not only do you want to get sun rays from the sun and fill yourself up with some vitamin D, baby, but you also want to eat some food that's going to feed your cells. So we got vegetable juices, we got superfoods, and all types of things. Then we got beets, celery, ginger, carrots, turmeric, wheatgrass. That's a nice little detox juice. Somebody says, "What else, Ed? How do I make my first business?" Teas. Now, if you wake up in anxiety, try the anxiety. Let me plug in something real quick. Y'all listen to my podcast and you say, hey, thank you, Ed. I love your podcast, bro. A couple ways you can support me. Let me tag this. At first, you can send me a Cash App. Oh, let me put that right there. It's the Cash App code EdTalks. Second, you can buy yourself some anxiety. Are you constantly going through anxiety every single day and you need a little relief, a little break, a little peace of mind? Get yourself some anxiety. theholisticmotivator.com. This tea has lemongrass, lemon balm, and vervain, all proven to get you in a calm state of mind. So instead of drinking a nice big cafe loca, choca, mocha, get yourself some anxiety. All right, lemongrass, lemon balm, vervain, straight from the Holistic Motivator's garden. I bless this tea too. By that I mean I spoke some energy, I spoke some motivation, I spoke some energy. So when you drink this tea, you're not just gonna get peace and what you're gonna get some motivation too. So y'all make sure you go to my website and get yourself some tea. Okay, or click the link in my bio. Now, if you're listening, click the description. Okay, so you're like, Ed, I appreciate that, man. It's only $8. $8 for some anxiety, lemon balm, lemongrass, vervain. Very useful natural herbs. Some of you who are getting the Prozac, the dopamine, the serotonin inhibitors. Listen, if you want to produce serotonin to get a clear state of mind, instead of getting pills and drugs for your anxiety, get the anxiety. Another natural serotonin producing activity is movement, is detoxing and fasting, because 95% of the serotonin is produced in your gut. So the moment you transform your gut health is the moment you transform your mental health. So that's why I mentioned you have to detox, fast, use superfoods, mention teas, mentioning intermittent fasting. Okay, so make yourself the first business also means you know when to shut your business down and when to open it up. Every business have a time. Some businesses work 9 to 5, some businesses work straight, but they're not open 24 hours. Okay, so your business of your digestion is not open for 24 hours. Some of you, it's late night. What are you doing? But I'm just gonna have one more piece of chocolate. No, it's time for you to go to sleep. Your business is tired. Hey, listen, you don't always have to be open. Sometimes you got to close your business. So know what time to close the business of your digestion. So when you know there's a certain time you need to stop eating and there's a certain time you need to start eating, then you are going to you're going to give your employees rest so that way they can come back rejuvenated. And somebody says, what are my employees? Your employees are going to be your sales. Your employees has a lot to do with the things within your body that's making sure you stay vital. You are out working your soldiers. Your soldiers need a break every single day, like 24 hours, work, 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 work. No vacation plan. You see, that's the problem. Your gut health is out of balance because your soldiers need to take some time off. So you're like, what do you mean? I like the analogy, Ed. Yes, it's an analogy. I like to make things like that. That's what I do. I'm a wordsmith. But what I'm saying is this: cut off your eating at a certain time. So you're like, what time is that? Well, back in the days, when the sun went down, there's only a few more hours. They'll eat a little bit left over. They call that supper, lunch and supper, and then they stop eating because there was electricity and all this extra stuff in refrigerators and boom, boom, boom. So they didn't eat past 8 o'clock. Okay, and if they did, they probably drink some tea. They probably have this anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Shameless plug. So they have probably had some tea, and they just said, "I'm gonna chillax, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna vibe it out." And then when they rose up, now some people they get up at 5, and they went to work at 6, and they would have their breakfast at 9, right? They'll have their lunch break or breakfast at 9. But now think about it, from 8 to 9, that's a 12-hour shift. That's a 12-hour break. At least give yourself 12. At least give yourself 12. Now, some whatever what you in this modern day time, you're not gonna do an expansion of energy where you're working in the fields. So you need too much. So if you are gonna eat breakfast, eat fruits, vegetables, or drink it. Drink your breakfast or eat fruits and vegetables, berries, right? Melons, vegetable juice. But if you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give myself an extra 4 hours to allow my body to be in its highest peak of ketosis. and I'm going to do intermittent fasting. So now what you're doing is you're saving yourself some headache. You're saving money. Now for 4 hours, you're not consuming any food. And because you're not consuming any food, your body's in ketosis and you break your fast around 11 or noon. So now you say, hey, now I'm going to eat some food. So doing that in itself will skyrocket your energy and increase the productivity of your cells. So like I said, you want to give yourself time. You want to give yourselves time to rejuvenate. You want to give yourselves time to do what it needs to do. So that's intermittent fasting. So make yourself the first business. Not only do business have start times and close time, businesses have maintenance plans. They have reflection time. They take time to see how they're producing. They take time to do reports on their performance. So you can't just go through life without checking how you're performing. Most people don't check how they perform. They just go out and do stuff sporadically. Don't be most people. You want to check to see how you're performing. So you want to review. You want to do reviews. So making yourself the first business is actually reviewing to see where you're at, how you're growing. Most people don't review. They only see the same thing again when they grow through that pain instead of reviewing to make sure that it does not accumulate into a big, heavy drop. So, what do I mean by that? If you check to see how your business is running, chances are you won't have to wait till it's going down. You will always change it up. Now, business, corporate, they know this. So they do reports. They do quarterly reports, weekly reports, daily reports. They even check every single day at the end of the shift. They have the employees check to see how much money they made and if there are any discrepancies as it relates to, did the money I said I made, is it the money there? How do you do that for yourself? You got to check in to see, did I do what I said today? Now, once you're doing that every single day, you're checking to see, did I do what I said I was going to do? Is my integrity A1? This helps you. So you do that on a daily basis, you do that on a weekly basis, and you do that on a monthly basis. You do that on a quarterly basis, you do that on a 3-month quarter, 6 months, 12 months, 16 months. So you want to continuously to check to see how your business is operating. You are the number one business. First, you have to be a proper chief executive officer of your life. So now, not only do businesses review and reflect quarter by quarter, month by month, week by week, day by day, but businesses project. They set goals. They set standards. They say, this is where I want to grow to. This is what I want to do. And by doing so, they are able to transform. So you're like, what do I mean? Not only do you want to see where you went, what you said you were going to do versus what you actually did, you want to keep setting new goals so that you can hit new thresholds, new criterias. You can't grow unless you set. A man or woman cannot hit a target he did not set. So now you want to say, hey, what do I want to accomplish? Now, a lot of people quantify it in numbers. I quantify it in bars. Now look at different categories. Now I have a beautiful journal here, and I have something called the personal development grading scale. Now, because I rock with y'all, because y'all listen to my podcast, I must tap you in. But this is normally for my community. So now, I don't know if I have much scales in this book per se, but I have a personal development scale when I look at different categories of my life based on the specific ones I want to work on. One of the major ones that I focused on is communication. So I asked myself, how much did I communicate with the people I love the most? And I are from 100% to 50%, and I shaded in with a highlighter. And it's like a bar chart. Y'all took high school, so you know what a bar chart is. So I shaded it into about 60, 70, 80. And every week I'm going back to see, oh, how's my mental health this week? How's my relationships? How's my finances? What's this? What's this? What's that? Now I can see visually how I'm doing. Has somebody ever asked you, how you doing? You're like, I'm okay. You know, in businesses, when you ask a business how it's doing, the business cannot just say I'm okay because they feel that way. The business says I'm okay because they have a report to show it. So a personal development scale is your own personal report so you can see your progression in life, so you can know what you need to improve on. Now, why is that so important? Because there's so much going on, you might not even notice that you have not paid attention to your kid. And you're like, oh, I need to do better at that. There's so much going on that you might not realize that, hey, you didn't finish, you stopped working on that project you had that was for. There's so much going on that you might forget that you didn't exercise. So how's your physical health? There's so much going on that you might not realize. So once you put it on paper, you put it right in front of you, take it out of your head, put it into paper. Now you have progressive, you have a lot of things. But all of this goal setting, projecting, reflecting, reviewing, what does all of this stuff do for you? It creates a blueprint for yourself in the future, a blueprint for your kids in the future, and a reminder to you when you're stuck. So what can you do? 10 years from now, 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're going through something and you want to get some encouragement. What if you got yourself to encourage you? What if you encourage yourself through your own words that you wrote? What if your kids can be encouraged by your previous discoveries? This is what this does. It allows you to have something to go back to. And whenever you feel like something is off and you want to remind yourself why you started, you're going to see some things. So, what do I mean by that, yo? Listen, listen. There's some times in my life where I feel really bad about where I'm at. All I got to do is open this book and it reminds me, oh my goodness, look at me. I've really been doing a lot. Oh, come on, Ed. Give yourself a pat on the back. Look how far I've grown. It allows me to feel better. And I say, hey, let's get back on it. You know, I look at my schedule back then. I'm like, oh my goodness, look at that. This was 20 years old Ed. Oh, this was 16-year-old Ed. Oh, this is 15-year-old Ed. Wow, I'm on the right track. I've always been on this path. So your journal serves as a kind reminder of who you are whenever you forget. Because sometimes the noise will be louder than the symphony that you've been playing with your life. And sometimes you got to put the earphones back in to hear the music. I love to go back and hear my podcast again because it's so inspirational, gets me back in the spirit. Why? Because when I go back to my podcast, I could feel what I was going through. And yesterday I was watching my own episodes, setbacks or setups. Check out my YouTube, The Holistic Motivator, and it inspired me. I was like, wow, I'm inspiring myself. That's it. You got to be your own motivator. So the moment you start inspiring yourself is the moment you know you're in spirit. You're in line with the divine. Inspiring yourself, getting in the spirit of who you really are. It's a constant reminder because things are gonna come your way that makes you feel like, hey, I'm not really powerful. Look, nobody's doing it. Nobody. I be feeling like that. I be like, look, there's only one person on my live. Oh my goodness, there's 0% on YouTube. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What am I doing all of this for? It's a waste of my time. Then I remember, it's one person now. It's 1,000 later, baby. Then I remember. It looked like one person live, but it's 1,000 listening later. Then I remember. It's one person now, but that's a spirit watching. So it makes me keep going when you remind yourself who you really are. Sometimes you look at your habits, you're like, oh my goodness, the business of myself is failing. Then you have to remember your habits is not your business. Your habits is the patterns. And if you are alive, if you're breathing, you can change the patterns. You could change the behaviors. You could change the way that you are being. You are not stuck to this way. You create your destiny. I am not stuck to this place. I create my destiny. It's a different energy. When you have that energy, nothing can stop or break you. You just stay in the mode of creation. And over time, that accumulation of creation becomes a beautiful. You're like, wow, I cannot believe I've created this body of work. And you're like, why do all of this? Why journal? Why wake up early and move and exercise? Why eat healthy? Why? Not for what you will get, but for the type of life that you will create. Why? Is because you will live a blessed life. You will be more happy. It's that your life will be the reason why. Okay. Your life is the reason why you dedicate yourself to holistic practices. Your life is the reason why you dedicate yourself to continuous improvement. Because guess what? As you do it, you start to realize the doing makes it all a beautiful experience. Waking up early, doing your podcast, doing this stuff is just part of it. It's a beautiful thing. It's exciting. You ever get idle and you bored and you're like, why do I keep living? It sucks. When you have something to look forward to, you can't wait to get up. And that's the reason why. And at the same time, you're creating something. Your life means more than just, oh, I'm just here. You know, this morning, somebody in the tribe said, hey, I was going through a moment. I'm feeling alone. So much stuff is going on. I'm so grateful that I came across your stuff. And now I'm waking up every day. I'm giving up stuff. My life is transforming. And I felt her. I felt her transformation. I'm like, oh my God. And I do Rising Prime, a daily rising session. And I love to keep it real. I've had times where I've had 20, 30, and I also lately it's been really few. And I don't know, most people not tapping in, but they should be. But I ain't worried about them. I'm focused on what mission God has for me. So I keep doing it every day. But lately it's been like one or two people on there. And some mornings I'm like, man, this is so powerful. There should be hundreds of people. But I keep doing it every day. I keep getting up. I keep showing up. I never stop, never quit, never give up, never surrender. Because I know it's gonna come. So I just keep doing it. And then when I hear that, it reminds me why I started, man. Cause I'm like, yo, yeah, ain't nobody here, whatever. But there's one person life is being transformed. I'm like, wow, God can use me for this. That's beautiful. And that inspires me, yo, because it gives me purpose. When you give, you are giving to yourself. But when you give to yourself first, you're able to give. So this is why you make yourself the first business. Because I have, that's why I give. I have, therefore I give. I am, therefore I give. So it is because I've cultivated it. It is because I've learned this stuff. It is because not only have I cultivated, I've learned it, I've became it. And out of the learning, cultivation, and becoming, I have a gift to give. Out of the learning, cultivating, and becoming, I have a gift to give. So, what you have to give to the world as a business is what you gave into yourself when you realize you're your first business. And personal development is when you continuously to grow every single day to have more and more to give. And you become the gift because you start to unravel your gift, revealing all the stuff that's in you. And you're like, I never knew. And like live like low underscore official on Instagram, go follow her, says, you don't have anything to prove. You were born for this moment. And what comes next? Exactly. You're endowed with greatness. Listen, God has already proven that his spirit lies within you by the very gifts, by the very words, by your very aura. So remember, powerful beings, let your light shine. Don't hide it. Don't dim it. It's the holistic motivator. I want to remind you that you have the unlimited power in you to reveal what's in you, but first you have to make yourself the first business. And until that happens, you'll be focused on everybody else's business instead of the business of yourself and the business of God. So remember, let your light shine. Don't hide it. Don't dim it. This is the Ed Talks Daily Podcast. Make sure you go subscribe to this podcast on all platforms by going to edtalksdaily.com. If you're listening, you want to watch it, Spotify has a video feature, so listen on Spotify. Ed Talks Daily, personal growth and motivation. Now, this is my tea. You want to support the podcast? Get yourself some anxiety, $8 straight from my garden, blessed it with some motivational words. It's a great support, theholisticmotivator.com. And if you say, hey, I appreciate you, Ed, here's $5. Let me buy you coffee. I'd love it. Let me buy you tea. Let me not say that. Let me buy you some smoothie here. Go to my website, go to edtalksdaily.com/donate or Cash App EdTalks. I got to start remembering to do that, okay? Because I add value to you a lot. This stuff should be paid for. But I give it to you for free. So show your boy some love. Cash App Ed Talks, or go to edtalksdaily.com/donate. All right. That's it. Peace, love. Pleasure serving you all. I'm out. Peace.